9 3/4 inches. Oak, rather sturdy. Allure more. If you have no idea what I was just talking about, then you're probably in the wrong place. If you do, then you know I was enacting the famous Harry Potter character, Ollivander the Wandmaker. Now, this is my first video blog. I've never really done anything with video before, but I felt that I needed to express what Harry Potter is to me, to everyone else, because I think everyone needs to know what Harry Potter has really done to the world, and I've decided to show how it's changed my life, now how it's changed people around me. So, to start this blog series off, I'm going to tell you about myself and how Harry Potter changed my life. So, it was 3rd grade when I discovered Harry Potter. My teacher, Mrs. Smith, yes, that was her actual name, Mrs. Smith. Anyways, my teacher, Mrs. Smith, decided that she was going to assign a book report. We had to write exactly 1 page. It's funny now. 1 page seemed like so much back then. But now I would kill for a 1-page paper. Handwritten even. So, she assigned us a 1-page book report on any book. Well, originally I was just going to say, let's do it on the Foot Book by Dr. Seuss. It's like 6 pages long. Then she decided that we were all going to go to the library. She was going to say that we all had to read a book from the library, and it had to be more than 25 pages. I quit. That was the point where I just said I wasn't going to do it. I used to be a terrible kid when it came to books. I used to take all the books in my parents' house and throw them into the fireplace, if you believe it or not. So, I went into the library and I sat down at the table and just watched everyone else run around and pick out books. I didn't understand why everyone was getting so excited about it. So, as I was sitting there, Mrs. B, our librarian, walks up and asks me why I'm not running around with everyone else. I told her I didn't like to read. She gave me that knowing smile that librarians are able to give, or teachers in general, saying you just haven't figured it out. Well, I sat there for about 25 minutes, and then Mrs. B came back. It was something I didn't really expect. Mrs. B came back, and she handed me possibly the biggest book I had ever seen in my life. It was over 150 pages, and she had asked to read it. She told me I was going to enjoy it. I thought the lady was out of her mind. Well, I took the book home, and I started reading. It's funny now to think that I could have hated the book. I started reading, and I finished the entire book before I got up the next morning. Matter of fact, I didn't sleep. I didn't think a book could do that to you, but it did. Something inside me just connected to it. It was different. It was amazing. It's just one of those moments that comes once in a lifetime. Well, I went in and I gave the book back to Mrs. B the next day and said thank you. She smiled at me in that same knowing way, knowing that I'd figured it out. I couldn't stop telling everyone about the book, and possibly that's why I'm doing this. Close to probably at least more than about 12 years later. I'm still telling people about Harry Potter. To be honest, Harry Potter made me more literate. It made me want to write. It made me want to read. It's probably the reason I'm going to the profession I am. I want to work for a magazine. I want to write all the time about anything. I just don't know how to describe it. If you haven't read Harry Potter and you're still listening to this, you've got to go read Harry Potter. If you've already read it, why not pick up the first book again? Doesn't hurt. There's only 7 books. I can go through them in a week these days. Well, that's all for now, guys. Venite and Canta.